Class 95's exclusive interview with Michael Buble, Part 1. By the time Michael was 17, he had a wealth of experience tucked under his belt. He even won first prize in the Canadian Youth Talent Search. But it was only with ex-Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney's introduction to David Foster that Michael hit big time.
I was struggling through Canada and America for a long time, since I was 16 or 17. I turned 26, and after 9 years of working and nothing happening, or small things happening, I got invited to sing at the Prime Minister's daughter's wedding. And the only reason he invited me there was because he was a friend of mine, and he knew that David Foster, the producer, would be there. So I took the opportunity to go there and play for David, and David liked what I did, and he flew me down to Los Angeles the next day, and it all went really well from there. Now I'm sitting in the theater talking to you, and actually people obviously are listening to this right now. We're sitting in a really beautiful theater in downtown Seattle in the USA, and so if you guys on the radio can hear people behind us, it's crew setting up and people selling merchandise and tickets and all that stuff.
Michael tells us about his inspiration for writing the song Home.
I think the inspiration was that I'd been on the road a lot, that I'd been around the world about 8 times in a few years, and I think I spent 8 days at home in 2 years, 9 days in 2 years, and I missed home, and I missed my family and my friends, and so it was pretty easy. It was autobiographical.
Michael tells us about writing original songs for his album.
For its time, I'd written 5 or 6 songs, and only one made it. Because when you're putting your songs up against the greatest songs of all time, you're pretty tough on yourself. So I wanted to make sure that I could slowly add my own music into the mix, and that it wouldn't look like a pale comparison when it was put up against some of these wonderful timeless classics.
We asked Michael what his next album would be.
Will be all original rap songs.
All right, we're looking forward to that.
It's actually quite wonderful. Dr. Dre and I are collaborating, and I got Snoop coming in, and
50 Cent?
Well, not 50. We're having a little feud right now.
Right, okay.
A little West Coast feud, but I even said 50. I said 50. I don't want to have to bust a cap in your ass,
Right. Very cheeky. So we asked Michael if there'd be more original songs in his next album.
There'll be a few. Just a few, though. But I'm an interpreter of great songs, and that's who I am and what I do. And like I always say, if it was good enough for Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley, it's good enough for me.
How about any plans to experiment with genres outside of jazz?
Well, I already have. I'm a pop singer. This is what I've done. My song is #1 on the pop charts in America and Canada. It's #1 on the country charts. So, already I've done that. I've taken songs that, even on both records, are not swing. You know what I mean? It's nice for me not to be categorized. I think it doesn't feel healthy for me, and I'd like to show my versatility by being able to sing a lot of different genres of music.
We asked Michael about how he hooked up with Nelly Furtado for Quando, Quando, Quando.
Because we're all going all over the world touring and pushing the records on TV shows, and you end up meeting everybody and seeing each other, and it just sort of happens, and you just kind of make these friendships, and
It's a really nice track you did, though, Quando, Quando.
Yeah, thank you. I really dug it.
Michael tells us about what's coming up.
Well, I think I'm about to sing a duet with Nelly Furtado on her new record, which is a real pop song. It's like R&B pop.
Okay.
Do you know who Chris Bodie is? He's a trumpet player from America. He's about to be big internationally, but right now it's just he's big in America, and I just did a record with him, and I just guested on his record. If you ever listen to It's Time, on a song called Song for You, he's the guest player. He plays trumpet on it. But I went and sang a song with him, and he's got myself and Sting and Steven Tyler from Aerosmith and a whole bunch of people, so it's going to be great.
All right. Coming up, Michael speaks to us about love and a lot more. Stay tuned for Part 2 of Class 95's exclusive interview with Michael Buble. Class 95's exclusive interview with Michael Buble, Part 2. We asked Michael about his love mantra.
My love mantra?
Yeah.
I think treat 'em mean, keep 'em keen.
Kidding me?
No, I am just kidding you. I thought that you'd get a kick out of that.
Right.
No, I think that I'm sincere, and I think that I've always just tried to treat the woman I love with respect, and to make them first, and to worship them. I think there's only one way a relationship can work, honestly, and that's if the man loves the woman more. And I think that's the only long-lasting relationship. I believe that. I think the man has to have a little bit of hunger, and I think the woman has to be a little lackadaisical about the whole thing. And what's the most romantic thing I've ever done?
Yeah.
I got in big trouble with a girlfriend I had once, and I got an old shoebox, and I went and got a pair of my shoes from when I was a little boy. My mother has kept all my shoes, They were all torn up and, really worn. And I put them in this shoebox, and then I put bags of Hershey's Kisses on top of the shoes. And then I put a little piece of paper that said that I would walk a million miles for was just one of her kisses. And I promise you, it was so perfect. It worked. So I was in trouble too, and I got out of the doghouse. So it was perfect.
Okay. I think a lot of guys are going to use that now because it's.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think. Definitely. They're like, oh, we're going to try that today.
They can do that if they want.
We ask Michael about the biggest lesson he's ever learned about love.
Oh, God. I don't know. I think I've been kicked around so much like every other boy that I'm learning lessons every day. And I'm learning that there are different kinds of love and different levels of love. But the biggest lesson would have to be the greatest love is unconditional love, you know. And I believe if you're given unconditional love by mom and dad and, you know, your family, that you can give it back. And I think that it's a really wonderful gift.
Coming up, Michael answers some questions posed by our Class 95 listeners. Stay tuned for part 3 of Class 95's exclusive interview with Michael Buble. Class 95's exclusive interview with Michael Buble, part 3. We picked out some questions sent in by our Class 95 listeners and got Michael to answer them. The first question's from Alex. He says, Michael, what do you think of Jamie Cullum?
He's one of my best friends. I know him really well. I'm a huge fan, and I think as a person, he's a lovely guy. I think he's a huge talent and a force to be reckoned with. But I'm not clear of why people ask me this question, because we couldn't be any different from each other, and I'm sure he would tell you the exact same thing. And it would be very much like comparing apples and oranges. I love what he does, though. Love his last record, love 20-something. I also love Pointless Nostalgia, which is the record he had before, which is really good.
All right, now the second question's from Jeannie, and Jeannie says, Michael, why did you name your second album It's Time?
Because it was better than It's Hammer Time, which was already taken. And also it was better than It's Crap, which would have totally... I hope they get my sense of humor when they're listening to me. But I called it It's Time because I felt that it was my time. I felt that it was time for this music to be at the top again. It was time for me to come out with a killer record, and it was time for me to shine. It's funny because at first I didn't like the name, and then someone said to me, they said, Michael, you'll see, it is time. And I said, okay, and did it, and now I'm happy I did. And it's a question that I get asked a lot. Thank you for asking it, Jeannie.
Okay, another question is, where is your favorite place in Canada?
It's Mom and Dad's house in Burnaby, because Mom makes good food for me and takes care of me and offers to do my laundry. I don't let her do it, but, it's always, you always feel like you're like 7 years old again when you get home.
Here's a question from Jen, and she says, Michael, who would you like to collaborate with and why?
Well, you think I'm kidding, but really, I'd love to collaborate with Eminem or Dr. Dre. I think Dre is great. I think that they got great style, great personal style, and, they swing hard, and it's not so different what we're doing. I know people think it is, but it really isn't. It's not rocket science. It's just great grooves and great lyrics and stuff, and I'd love to be part of that. Some good DJs I'd like to work with. Junkie XL, someone who did a lot of good mixing for me. Actually, Nelly Furtado's boyfriend, I've heard, is pretty good. So who else is there? Madeline Peru is a young girl who's really fantastic at what she does. I'm a fan of Cullum as well, I'd love to do something with Jamie. We have before. We've sung a lot together and done shows and stuff. Yeah, it'd be great to do, yeah.
No, we look forward to that. Well, the next question's from Charles, and he asks, Michael, what are your top 5 jazz artists?
It's funny. I'm not really heavily into the jazz. Like when people say jazz, I wasn't really into heavy jazz. I wasn't into complicated music. I like the pop singers. My favorite guys were Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Mel Torme, Bobby Darin, Tony Bennett. I like Dinah Krall very much. Harry Connick Jr. Big fan of Harry Connick, yeah. And
so would you say these were your influences?
Huge influences. But also at the same time, I should also say that other large influences were Bryan Adams, Bruce Springsteen, Led Zeppelin, Oasis, the Beastie Boys I was quite fond of. So I'm a regular kid. I was influenced Soundgarden. I liked Pearl Jam. I thought Eddie Vedder was like a crooner. I thought he was like a great crooner, and I was inspired by all kinds of stuff. And what else did I like? Nirvana. Cobain was quite brilliant, and good stuff, really good stuff.
Okay, we've picked one last question from our listeners, and it's quite a naughty one. It's from City, and she says, Michael, when you perform on stage, has there been any girl you spotted in the audience that you fancied?
Absolutely.
And have you ever acted on that impulse to meet that girl?
Yes, I have, and I will again. You see beautiful girls, or even just see an audience member, even a guy who's really into it, and so you want to go meet him and go down and say thank you for being so supportive and stuff like that, yeah.
Coming up, Michael tells us all about the nicknames he's been called, that license plate on his tour bus, and when he'll be performing in Singapore again. Stay tuned for part 4 of Class 95's exclusive interview with Michael Buble. Class 95's exclusive interview with Michael Buble, part 4. We asked Michael about his favorite song on It's Time.
It's How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. Just think it was really a funky arrangement. We had this idea to make a train kind of chugging down 1950 Memphis and make it really sexy and bluesy, and I thought that they did a really great job with it. Something else on the record that I liked too is Quando, Quando, Quando. Loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I'm bored of home, feeling good. I sing it every night to start, so it's...
It made me cry.
Home did? Everyone says that to me. It's very funny. Yeah.
It's really very poignant. But I really like Quando. It's a happy song.
Thank you.
We asked Michael about all the nicknames he's been called.
Bubbles, Super Boob, Mickey Bubbles, Mickey Boobies.
Are you kind of tired of people are calling you all these funny names?
It's better than them not, calling me anything. You suck, Bubble. That would suck if that... No. What are my nicknames? My friend Alan, who wrote home with me, calls me Rufio. It's from this really kind of weird movie called Hook with Robin Williams.
Right.
And I don't know why he calls me Rufio, but his name is Alan Chang, and he's half Chinese. He's like half Asian, half white, half American. And I call him Aaron Chong. So we just pretty much mess with each other all the time. Yeah.
She has the same surname as I do.
Chang?
Yeah.
Chang? C-H-A-N-G?
Oh, that's Chang. Mine's Chang. C-H-E-N-G.
Chang.
Ching. Like ching, ching,
Ching, ching, ching, ching, ching.
Yeah, that's it.
I like that.
Oh, okay.
Ching, ching. You could be Ching, Chang.
I could be Chinga, Chang, Chang.
Together. Buble, Chinga, Chang. That's really great.
Okay, one thing. I spotted a trailer outside. Is that your trailer outside?
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
It's very cute because I saw the number plate. It says...
Oh, the human. That's not
MB
my...
vibrator.
That's not my... That's his initials. That's the driver's initials.
All right, because I'm looking at something
Mark
that
Bennett.
says
No, that's...
MB vibrator.
Well, what it says is the world's largest vibrator is what
Correct.
it says on the bus, and it has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. I don't even really get that. I guess because the bus goes... I don't know. I mean, it's weird because I was watching a Canadian news station, and they had that. The girl was like... She walked into my bus. She was like, this is Michael Buble's bus, and all of a sudden they showed the license plate, and I was like, no, my mother's watching this. It's funny. I couldn't ask the bus driver to take it off the bus because I felt like... It's a bunch of guys, and I felt like they'd be like, oh, little wimpy boy, want to take that off. So I was like, okay, whatever, it's not my bus.
You see, because you're always associated with MB.
Yeah.
And that thing exactly says
I know,
MB.
because it's my mark, yeah, of course, yeah.
So
One final question. Michael, when do you think you're going to be back in Singapore for another concert?
I think I come back this year. Yeah, pretty soon. I'm not sure exactly the date, but yeah, very soon.
Wow, that's great news. And Michael Buble fans will let you know once his concert dates in Singapore have been finalized. This has been Yaz with an exclusive interview with Michael Buble, only on Class 95, the best mix of music.